Today's lesson is called A Tour of Tuscany, Day 2. Hi everyone, my name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and we are continuing our tour of Tuscany in today's program. Now, remember last time we went to Tuscany, which is an area of Italy, and we started in Florence. That's a good starting point there, and there are all sorts of things to see and do there. You can see paintings there, you can see a basilica there, and of course you can see the graves of some famous Italians there. You can also go to the Boboli Gardens with its statues and fountains, and it feels like it's an outdoor museum.
Yes, Florence was a fantastic place to start our tour of Tuscany, and we saw it all. It was fantastic. It's a city filled with great architecture and art and fantastic gardens and churches and basilicas. Oh my, Florence was great, but we also went to Pisa. Okay, went to Pisa, saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa there. That was pretty cool as well. And remember, this particular tower, it has been leaning since the 12th century, like 900 years. Will this thing fall over already? Well, I hope it doesn't fall over. But that's a long time to lean without falling over. But guys, if you do go to Tuscany, don't worry. You can go to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's safe, and also the view there is great. In fact, it's super incredible. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. Next up, we're going to talk about a place called Siena. That will be our next stop on our tour of Tuscany, and we'll start talking about Siena right after this.
No less striking than Florence is Siena. The city draws large crowds in the summer with one of Tuscany's biggest events, the Palio di Siena. This famous horse race takes place in the Piazza del Campo and occurs twice a year, on July 2nd and August 16th. Both the horses and the riders dress up in bright colors and wear special symbols that represent the different wards of the cities. Open-air dinners are also held in each ward the night before the races to celebrate the event.
大家好，今天第一个单字我们看到的是 represent。这个字当作动词，它有代表或是象征的意思。例如 The writer said that the flower represents beauty in the story. 作家说花朵在故事中代表美丽。下一个我们看到的单字是 ward。这个字当作名词，它有行政区、选区的意思。所以我们可以说 The city is broken up into 2 voting wards on the north and south sides of the river. 这个城市分成2个选区，一个是河岸的北侧，一个是河岸的南侧。再来，我们看到的单字是 celebrate， 这个字当作动词，代表庆祝的意思。例如 Holly will celebrate her birthday by going out to dinner with her closest friends. Holly 会和最亲的朋友去吃晚餐，以庆祝她生日。或者我们可以说 After my graduation, I went to dinner with my family to celebrate. 我跟家人一起吃大餐，庆祝我毕业了。
Okay, everybody, in the first part of our lesson, we're going to Siena. Okay, so it begins here by saying, no less striking than Florence is Siena. So no less striking. That's a pattern here. Basically, it means Siena is just as striking as Florence. Okay, so there's more to Tuscany than just Florence. You could also go to Siena as well. We're describing Siena and Florence as being striking, which means really wonderful to look at. You could say, oh, wow, that's a striking dress you have on today. Where did you buy it? So yes, Siena is dazzling to your eyes just as much as Florence is.
There you go. So no less striking than Florence is Siena. So we're mentioning Siena after Florence, but that's not because Siena's bad, okay? Siena's still great, okay? It's about as good as Florence. It is striking just like Florence is. Anyways, more on Siena. The city draws large crowds in the summer with one of Tuscany's biggest events, the Palio di Siena. And there you have it. Now we're talking about an event finally. Remember on day one, we talked about how Tuscany is covered with beautiful buildings, how it has a really great collection of artistic treasures as well. And then we also said that this place, Tuscany, also is home to many exciting festivals and events. So here we have, finally here we have an event to talk about, the Palio di Siena. Now, this famous horse race takes place in the Piazza del Campo and occurs twice a year on July 2nd and August 16th. Now, I've never been to a horse track. I've never seen a horse race, and I'm pretty sure there aren't many horse races here in Taiwan. But I've heard that these horse races are an event. They're amazing. They're a sight to see.
Yes, if you can get tickets, it probably will be an experience of a lifetime. So it happens twice a year in the summer, in July and August. And both the horses and the riders dress up in bright colors and wear special symbols that represent the different wards of the cities. So in this sentence, we're talking about the horses and the riders. Both of them dress up in bright colors. So here we've got the phrase to dress up. That means you wear special clothing or you wear fancy clothing, usually for a special occasion. You might dress up for a special party, for example. You might dress up for a wedding, like wearing a suit or a nice dress or something. You don't want to look like a slob.
Yeah, you don't go to a wedding, let's say, wearing a sweater and a bathing suit. No way. You have to dress up. You have to put on good clothes. Yes, to dress up is to put on good clothes or fancy clothes or maybe even a costume, okay? And usually you do this for a special event, due to a special event or for some special purpose. So here we've got these horse riders. I believe they're called jockeys. Okay, the riders are all dressed up, and horses are too, and they're dressed up in bright colors, and they also wear special symbols that represent the different wards of the cities. Okay, so here we've got two more words to talk about. Okay, the first of these is the verb represent. To represent something is to stand for that thing. So these jockeys are wearing symbols, and anyone who saw that symbol would know what that symbol means. Oh, that's from this part of the city, or that symbol is from that part of some other city or something like that. And by the way, when we're talking about different parts of a city, sometimes we can talk about these different parts of cities as being wards, like neighborhoods or parts of a city that have their own small government there.
Right. In Taiwan, of course, the cities are divided into districts, but in Italy, I guess they're divided into wards, again, special areas of a city. You could also have wards in a hospital, like the children's ward, for example, a room or an area in a hospital where children are treated for various diseases. And again, these colors and symbols represent these different wards of the cities or different areas of cities. Again, to represent means to stand for something. I could say that you elect legislators to represent you in the government. Now, here in the final sentence of the first paragraph, it says, open-air dinners are also held in each ward the night before the races to celebrate the event. Ooh, that sounds really, really yummy. Italian food is so tasty. So these are dinners that are served outdoors. They're open-air dinners. You might go to an open-air restaurant when you're traveling in Europe, or open-air tea shops here in Taiwan. You can enjoy your coffee or your tea outdoors. You don't have to be indoors, although you probably don't want to do that during the summer because it's so hot. But in any case, these are open-air dinners, and they're held the night before the races. They do this to celebrate the event.
There you go. This is how they party or celebrate this event. Hey, all right, it's the Palio di Siena. It's time to party and have a good time. Let's be happy. Let's celebrate. Let's have a party. Pretty much to celebrate and to party, they mean about the same thing. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break. But when we come back, we'll learn more about Siena.
Before you leave Siena, don't forget to visit the hilltop town of San Gimignano as well. It was originally an Etruscan village, but gained importance during the medieval period. At that time, rich families began building towers there to show off their power and wealth. 14 of the original 72 tower houses still stand, giving the town a grand skyline. Every Thursday morning, the town's main squares host open markets, selling fresh fruits and produce. Take this time to try some of the best that Tuscany has to offer, including fine olives, bread, and cheeses.
第二部分我们看到的单字是 originally。这个字当作副词，它有起初、原来的意思。例如 Polly 最初住在纽约，但现在她住在迈阿密。英文可以这么说 Originally, Polly lived in New York, but now she lives in Miami. 接下来我们看到的单字是 wealth。这个字当作名词，代表财富的意思。所以我们可以说 Marcus gained great wealth after his computer business became successful. Marcus 的电脑事业成功了以后，获得了大笔财富。再来，我们看到的单字是 host。这个字当作动词，代表举办或是主办的意思。例如 Calvin hosted a fundraiser for a local charity. Calvin 为一个地方慈善机构主持募款活动。今天最后一个单字，我们看到的是 olive。这个名词有橄榄树的意思，所以我们可以说 Terry loves to eat pizza that is topped with onions, peppers, and black olives. Terry 喜欢吃有着洋葱、青椒和黑橄榄配料的披萨。另外 olive 也有橄榄色的意思，那就可以说 Eric put his notebooks, pencil box, and handouts into his olive backpack. Eric 把他的笔记本、铅笔盒还有讲义放进他橄榄色的后背包里。
Okay, let's move on and talk some more about Tuscany. We were going to Siena, which also has interesting things to see, especially this big event, the Palio di Siena. But before you leave Siena, don't forget to visit the hilltop town of San Gimignano. I hope I said that well. I've never studied Italian before, but you get the general idea. This is a town or a village. It's not a big city, but I guess it's in Siena, this area of Italy, and it's definitely something you need to check out.
Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. The next sentence says, it was originally an Etruscan village, but gained importance during the medieval period. Now, this could be medieval or medieval. Both pronunciations are okay, but the spelling is tricky. M-E-D-I-E-V-A-L. It's not mid, M-I-D, evil, E-V-I-L. No. Medieval or medieval. Now, when we're talking about this word medieval, by the way, or medieval, we're talking about a period of history that took place a very long time ago in Europe before the Renaissance. And I've talked about the Renaissance, okay? And as far as history was concerned, the Renaissance is very important for Europe and for Italy in particular. That was when European culture experienced a rebirth, and Italian and European artists did some really cool stuff along with scientists and stuff like that. Now, right before the Renaissance, though, came the medieval period or the Middle Ages. I've heard other people say that the medieval period can be called the Middle Ages as well. Anyways, more on this hilltop town there. It was originally an Etruscan village, our article says. So here we've got the adverb originally to talk about, okay? The adverb originally is similar to the phrases in the beginning or at first. So at first, this was an Etruscan village. This place was.
That's right. Etrusca was a kingdom before it was taken over by the Romans, but it still left some influence behind after it became part of the Roman Empire. So it used to be an Etruscan village, but it became important during the Middle Ages or during the medieval period. I happen to like medieval music, for example. It's also referred to as early music. But at that time, during the medieval period, rich families began building towers towers there to show off their power and wealth. This is what rich people do when they have a lot of money or when they have a lot of wealth. They want to let other people know about it. And how do they do that? Well, they show off. Nowadays, people show off with expensive cars or expensive jewelry or bragging about their expensive trips or something like that. This is how they show off.
You know, I went to school with a big-time braggart. This person really liked to brag and to show off. Yes, the word braggart, B-R-A-G-G-A-R-T. That refers to a person who likes to show off. Now, how did this person like to show off? Well, he was very tall and athletic. So whenever we played basketball, he would dunk in front of all of us. And we used to say, hey, Don, you don't need to show off. We know that you can dunk. You didn't need to dunk there. You're dunking the basketball so that you can gain our admiration, even though it's not working there, Don. Anyways, yes, if you show off, that means you act to get people's attention. You act because you want people to admire you. You do something and you want to gain those people's admiration. Now, very often this phrase has got a negative connotation. Yes, that person dunking Don there. When we're calling him a show-off or we're saying that he is showing off, we're not saying something nice to him. That's not a compliment. There is a bad connotation to using this phrase. Then, we also have this word wealth. Let's not forget our actual sentence here. We have the word wealth to talk about. When we're talking about wealth, we're talking about riches. We're talking about a person's money, a person's financial resources, especially when these people are rich or when they have a whole lot of money.
Yeah, wealth is the noun. That's when you have a lot of something, a lot of money, a lot of possessions, a lot of real estate. Wealthy is the adjective, which occurs more often. Oh, Mr. Jones is very wealthy. We want to get together with him and go to his mansion or something like that. So here, of course, if you have wealth, if you have power, you're going to want to show it off. They did this in this village by building towers. Now, 14 of the original 72 tower houses still stand, giving the town a grand skyline. So, my goodness, you can still see 14 of those original towers. 14 is no small number, and because so many of them are still standing, there is a rather impressive skyline in this little town of San Gimignano. Okay, so a skyline basically is the view you get of a lot of buildings in a city. One of the most famous skylines in the world is probably what? The New York skyline?
The Manhattan skyline, absolutely. So when you're looking at a city and you're looking at the downtown part of that city where there are all those tall buildings called skyscrapers, if you look at that part of the town, you are looking at that city's skyline or that town's skyline. That's what we're talking about here. It's kind of like an urban landscape, but very simply, when you're looking at the skyline of a city, let's say, you're looking at that place downtown where all the tall buildings are or where all the skyscrapers are. Anyways, moving on, the next sentence says, every Thursday morning, the town's main squares host open markets selling fresh fruits and produce. How about that? Now, here we've got the verb host to talk about. It's not the noun host. Roger and I are the hosts of this show, but like I said before, we're not using this word as a noun, we're using it as a verb. Here we're talking about how this area, welcomes these markets and gives them the space they need to operate and to sell their stuff. That's what it means to host something here.
These markets occur in these main squares, in these plazas, in these central parts of the town, and you can buy fresh fruits and produce there. Note here, produce refers to vegetables, usually green ones, like celery or spinach or things like that. Now, take this time to try some of the best that Tuscany has to offer, including fine olives, bread, and cheeses. Ooh, that sounds good. I love to eat cheese cheese. Cheese is usually a non-count noun. How much cheese did you eat, for example? But when we talk about different kinds of cheese, then it's countable. Like cheddar or Colby, those are different kinds of cheeses. Also here, we've got olives, which are kind of shaped like a rugby ball or an American football. And I guess there are two different varieties, black and green, or perhaps they're the same variety, but they're aged differently. I'm not an expert at olives, but I do love olives, especially on my pizza, both green olives and black olives.
Yeah, olives kind of look like grapes, but they're not grapes. Olives are actually small fruits that aren't sweet like grapes are. Now, olives are small fruits that have a really big and hard pit or center, but the flesh around it is quite nice, okay? It kind of looks like a nut sometimes, but remember, olives are fruits, not nuts. Now, olives are a really important part of Italian cuisine because that's how you make olive oil. You make olive oil from olives. Like I said before, they look like grapes, but they're not grapes. If you bite into an olive, it might be bitter. You might break a tooth when you bite into that pit. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break, but when we come back, we'll wrap up our article on Tuscany.
While all roads lead to Rome for some, for others, a trip to Italy leads directly to Tuscany.
And here's the final part of our lesson for today. While all roads lead to Rome for some, for others, a trip to Italy leads directly to Tuscany. We've all heard that phrase before, all roads lead to Rome. I guess that means you'll never get lost in Italy. But here, some people think that, hey, Tuscany is probably a better destination than Rome.
Yeah, Rome is great, but if you go to Italy, Tuscany is really where it's at. It's just that good. Okay, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. The Chinese teacher is on her way.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一句提到 No less striking than Florence is Siena. 和佛罗伦斯一样引人注目的是西埃纳。好，这个句子呢，其实它可以还原成 Siena is no less striking than Florence. 那它的主词就是 Siena， 那么动词是 is， 后方的 no less striking than Florence 是主词补语。好，那当我们句子里面的主词比较长啊，或者是你想要强调主词补语的时候，你可以把主词补语移到句首，再把 be 动词移到主词的前方，形成倒装句。那么倒装后的句型就是主词补语加 be 动词加主词。好，那我们的主词补语它可以是现在分词、过去分词、形容词或是介系词、片语等等。举例来说 A woman wearing a red dress was standing by the side of the stage.一名身穿红洋装的女子站在舞台旁边。那句子里面的主词是 a woman， 它后方有修饰语 wearing a red dress。好，那我们先将主词补语 standing by the side of the stage 移到句首，然后再把 be 动词 was 移到主词跟它的修饰语前方，就会形成倒装句 standing by the side of the stage was a woman wearing a red dress。 接着读到课文第一部分的第三句This famous horse race takes place in the Piazza del Campo and occurs twice a year. 这个著名的赛马比赛在田野广场举行，一年举办2次。还有第一部分最后一句说到 Open-air dinners are also held in each ward the night before the races to celebrate the event. 每一区在比赛前一晚还会举办户外晚餐来庆祝这场盛事。好，那这边就出现了几种表达举办、举行的说法，那就顺便帮同学们做个整理。第一种用法 take place， 它表示举行、发生，那通常是指像活动啊、会议的举行或是某事件的发生，它的用法是以事物来当主词。举例来说 The concert took place at 7 p.m. 演唱会在晚上7点举行。第二种用法 occur， 它表示发生，那这个字它比 happen 还正式，那它是用来表达事件，这个事件呢，它可能是预期的或是非预期的发生，它的用法也是以事物来当主词。例如 The event will occur on Sunday morning， 这个活动将于周日早上举行。 第3种是用 hold 来表达举办，它可以用来表达举办活动啊、举办会议等等。那这个用法有2种，第一种是主动用法 somebody hold something， 那么第2种是被动用法 something be held。当我们用事物来当主词的时候，是用被动语态。举例来说 The parade will be held in December， 那场游行将于12月举行。好，顺便提醒同学们 happen也是指发生，那它是指事件非预期的发生。那么要特别注意的是 happen occur 还有 take place 都是以事物来当主词，它们都没有被动语态。好，那以上是今天的重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Represent. This pin represents our membership in the club. Ward. The politician speaks for the citizens living in these 2 wards. Celebrate. Rachel held a party to celebrate her daughter's birthday. Originally. Ryan originally wanted to be a doctor, but he ended up as a lawyer. Wealth. Benjamin's Rolex watch was evidence of his large wealth. Host. The school is going to host a dance next month. Olive. Can you add black olives to my portion of the pizza?
Discussion starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. What do you think would be the most exciting place or attraction to visit in Tuscany?
I think that I would love to visit some of those open markets that we were talking about there in San Gimignano. I'd love to go there and buy some of the olives and bread and cheeses and make myself a real authentic Italian dinner.
Well, I think it would be cool to see Florence, since it has lots of historical areas and old buildings and stuff like that, but it surely probably has a lot of restaurants. I really want to sample lots of different kinds of Italian food.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.